Hi, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about 3 tips that you can apply straight away to increase your self-confidence. I hope by the end of this video, you really just walk away being a new person. The first tip is to stimulate your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is a nerve that connects really just all organs in our body, and it runs from the top of our head down to the lower part, so just below your belly. And just imagine it like a spider's web of connections. It's a network really that transmits information between the different organs. And its main function is really to transmit information from the brain to the heart and your gut, and the other way around. So when you have some kind of tension or restrictions in your mindset and your feelings, in how you feel about yourself, and usually that is also felt in your body as an emotion, and physiologically, there's nothing wrong with you. It's because you actually need to stimulate your vagus nerve. So how do you do that? Take one finger or 2 fingers and find your belly button. And the reason why the belly button is because it's the area where the skin is thinnest, so you can actually much more easier access the inside of yourself, of your own being, and then that's where the vagus nerve runs down. So if you stick your fingers in your belly button and press in and count 60 to 90 times, do it 100, might be easier. Then take a break and then do that again. And I would recommend just stop this video and do that, and then put down in the comments below what you felt. It should feel like your body is beginning to relax a bit. If you have felt a bit of tension or bloating, that should start to ease up. And your brain also, that usually people who have low self-esteem, and I was one of those, is I was so much in my head. Everything was in my head, and I was kind of fabricating all these scenarios, not realizing that by just stimulating my brain through the vagus nerve, I could actually let my brain relax, and nothing is actually as bad as it seems. But by not having this really nice flow, harmonious flow up and down, what happens is that the brain does not receive enough oxygen. So then it starts to go into a bit of a stress mode, and that's why you start to get anxious. That's why you have all these thoughts about yourself not being great, not being good enough, not being heard, not being really appreciated. Is because your brain is just a bit anxious. So do that, apply the first tip, and let me know what happens. The second tip is to change your patterns of behavior. We have about 80 to 90 billion different neurons and connections that our brain can generate. Unfortunately, we only utilize about 20% of those, because the majority are just built up of just regular patterns, such as lifting your finger, touching your eyes, drinking a glass. You don't have to learn all these things. They're already inbuilt. You've learned them over time. By changing and really kind of pushing your brain outside of the comfort zone and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, you really start to control your brain. Instead of it controlling you and controlling your emotions, you actually start to become the master of your brain. And that's really the most important thing, by just becoming the one that is really in charge, rather than you being led by external events that cause you to feel in a certain way. If you decide that actually, no, I am in charge, I'm the person that will determine how I feel and what I feel about myself, your entire life changes. And to do that, you're gonna have to start working with your brain. And the most simple thing is to start on a small scale, your patterns of behavior, so your regular patterns of behavior. So for example, we can do this whilst I'm talking, is I love to gesticulate because I grew up in a culture where gesticulation is just the Latin culture where everybody gesticulates. It gets very animated when you talk. So one thing that is very uncomfortable for me is to just sit very quiet and very ladylike and not gesticulate and talk. So I'm going to try to do this whilst I'm talking to you on this video. The first thing that happens is when you change your behavior there's a whole level of discomfort. And I can feel my body initially now just getting very, very tense because it really just wants to move. And I remember trying this once before and my foot started to move. So take something that you'd like to change and try to do it differently. Whether it's brushing your teeth with a different hand, or you can't turn the key differently, but just closing your door differently. Just your regular patterns, change them. Try on a small scale and persist through that level of discomfort because your brain will just want to go back to what it knows. But what you're trying to do is control it. And you're trying to tell it, no, I'm teaching you new things. It's extremely important to do that. One is because it would help you utilize and create more gray matter. So over time, we start to lose gray matter in our brain by overstimulating our brain and really just kind of forcing it to make new connections, to establish new skills, to learn new skills, is you are really preventing yourself from onset of dementia, of Alzheimer's. You're gonna just have a much happier and healthier life because your brain will become used to change. It'll become used to utilizing its full function, or as much as it can, more than it does now. So definitely, even if you don't want to increase your self-esteem, just for your own longevity and for your own well-being, start slowly to change your patterns of behavior. The third tip that I would give you is congratulate yourself for the small achievements. If you remember when you were a child, every little step that you took was such a big event. Every little thing, like whether it was, eating a carrot or just swallowing something for the first time on your own, or walking or crawling, was such a big event. And over time, we lose that. And especially as adults, we just think, there's nothing really worth celebrating unless it's a really big birthday. But the reality is that every day we learn new skills. Every day we learn new patterns of behavior. Every day we adjust in a different manner to the people around us, to the surroundings, yet we don't celebrate that. So it's really important to start celebrating yourself. And by celebrating yourself, you're going to start to appreciate the person that you are. You're going to start to identify the differences and the wonderful differences that you have compared to everybody around you, and the things that make you unique. Life is all about just being this really grateful person for your own being. You don't have to compare yourself to anyone else, because the reality is you are unique. There's no one like you, and it's so important to celebrate you on a daily basis. I did say I will give you 3 tips, but I'll give you one more tip, which is extremely important. Unfortunately, over time, because of the stressful environments that we are inhabiting, we have changed our breathing. People talk about mindfulness, but what really is mindfulness? Mindfulness is about paying really attention more to your internal breathing method and just to yourself. So a lot of people end up breathing very shallow and very much into the lungs, and taking very small breaths and then exhaling very quickly, and that really just causes the lungs to work very hard to support the rest of your body. So imagine a boxer, you know, if a boxer goes like this, well, it's not really going to have a lot of power, and it's probably not going to be very successful in a big match. But if it has a very directed intention towards where it wants to hit and how it wants to hit it, then the likelihood of it, you know, just being extremely powerful is much higher. And it's the same with breathing. Is if you start to change your breathing from your lungs down into the stomach, so more intentional about the fact that you're breathing. It's what makes you alive. It's your breath. Instead of thinking, oh, actually just doing it because you're doing it. So just become more intentional about what do you do, you know, your breathing. So push it down into your body, thinking, I need to oxygenate my entire body. Not just my lungs, but actually my entire body. All the organs require oxygenation. So changing your pattern of breathing from the top down into your lower abdomen and being more intentional in allocating your breath will really help you calm yourself down in situations which are anxious, in situations where you think, oh my God, maybe someone is against me, someone doesn't like me, because it allows you to kind of just focus on yourself instead of what's happening around you. What's happening around you most of the time is just kind of like a split second, or, you know, just a few minutes, and then it dissipates, because the reality is that most of the time we make so much more of situations than they actually are. Just because someone said something, it doesn't mean that they're trying to hurt us. It's maybe just their opinion. The question is, how do we take that? So by really elongating your breathing and breathing in and breathing out in a much more, let's say, calmer way, much more intentional about yourself, that you're trying to do something good to your body, will allow you to have those moments of stepping back and really assessing the situations. And that really increases your self-confidence, because the moment you are able to control your brain, to control your emotions through your breath, that's when your self-confidence increases. That's when you really become happy, because your body will just start to relax. You start to relax, and you will get less triggered by events which kind of happen, and events happen all the time. But you know, the question is, do we actually have to pay any attention to them? Do we have to give them such importance? And probably the answer is no. What we need to give importance to is us, and the most important thing is to work on yourself to feel really good. I hope this video has helped you. Please do not just watch the videos, but actually, you know, start to apply them. It's so important if you want to transform your life, to start applying these things on a regular basis, and consistency. Consistency is the most important thing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.